Hello there, this is Barry. You're watching Barry and the PI. Please subscribe and like this video. This is going to be another educational video by Dr. Barry, Professor Barry. Uh, Yesterday they had an earthquake up in Abra near Vegan in northern Lausanne. I haven't been there yet. It's another of my bucket list to go up that ways. It was a pretty moderate earthquake. It did damage some buildings. I think 5 people were killed. So my experience with earthquakes is when I first came to Asia. And as I told you in my earlier videos that I had taught school in Taiwan. Taiwan has a lot of earthquakes. I had a job at a bushiban, which is a school after a school, where kids come over after they get out of school. In Taiwan, they get out at noon, essentially, and a little bit later for high school. But and then they go to this bushiban school, and they learn English and other stuff, computers and things like that. I'd been there. I'd lived in an old Chinese house along a Hutong alley, and I had a bicycle that I rode around all over town. And one night, I'd gone to bed about 12:30, and went to sleep pretty quickly. And then about 30 minutes later, I woke up to the whole house was moving and shaking. And so I sat up, and I recognized that this is an earthquake going on. And I sat up and had my feet on the floor, and the floor was moving underneath them. And I got up to turn on the light. Well, of course, brown out. The earthquake had shut off the electricity. And it took them a couple of days to get the electricity back going. So I sat there now in the dark, and then I heard neighbors coming out talking outside, and they came by to see if I was all right. Of course, they didn't speak any English. I didn't understand Chinese, but I could understand enough to know what was going on. So I went back into the house in the dark. I sat on my bed, and the aftershocks just kept happening. Just practically all through the night. I laid down, tried to sleep, and I thought, well, that's an earthquake, or else China's attacking Taiwan. And there's probably missiles and bombs hitting nearby. So, but I didn't get too much sleep that night. And I was just waiting for the sun to come up. And as soon as that came out, I got on my bike. I rode around town to see if there's any noticeable damage. And I didn't see any. Uh, it didn't really affect the little town, or little small city, Longtown. A real nice place, and friendly people. The school was just great. Of course, the school was closed too. It didn't open up till the next week, so I had some time off. So it was kind of discouraging, having gone through that. And then later on, I left that school after my contract was up, and the principal had brain cancer, and she was having a brain operation. So they weren't going to have a full summer of classes. They wanted me to stay, but they couldn't pay me the full amount that I should have gotten if. So I found another school in a suburb of Taipei. It was a kindergarten, so all my classes were just during the day, and 5 o'clock I was out of there. But anyway, there I got rented an apartment on the 8th floor of a high-rise, and I had gotten moved in there, and I think I was washing dishes. All of a sudden, the building started shaking. I said, "Oh God, no!" I hope they did built this apartment, this skyscraper, well, because back when the KMT was in power, and they let corrupt and incompetent contractors build a lot of buildings, and found out some of those buildings they used radioactive waste as fill in the concrete. That's not good. And those buildings fell during that big earthquake. So I've in my travels around the Philippines, I had some shocks, but nothing really big so far here. Now, all right, this is Geology 1.0. Earth sits on, the surface here sits on a river of magma, hot molten material that inside of Earth that comes out in volcanoes. We're floating on these plates, and these plates keep moving. The Earth used to be one big continent, and you can see how it's broken up, and everything fits together like a puzzle in it. So we're floating around on this thing, and they bang into each other, these plates. Now, when they bang into each other, these are pretty powerful. And they'll push against each other, and that sometimes results in one plate sliding over the other plate like that. That's where these plates meet that you get earthquakes. And And some of them move along side by side like that, and they'll get hung up and then break apart, and that's when you get a big earthquake. That's San Andreas Fault in California. That's the way that one is. So if you're going to build a house here in the Philippines, you have to know where the fault lines. The fault line is where that area where the two plates meet and move or push up against each other. This is what happens here in the Philippines sometimes. I don't really know if we've had a real big one in quite a while. You know, 8.8 or higher on the Richter scale. This one in Abra, I said it was 7.1. The one in Taiwan was a 7.3, where I lived. So you need to know if there's a fault on the land that you're going to build a house on. If you don't know that, you might find your house breaking in two. Half of it's over here now after an earthquake. So it's important that your contractor finds those things out. Now, over here in Taal Volcano, there's several towns that are built inside the original crater. San Nicolas was one. And there's earthquakes, there's fault lines all over the place in there because it's a very active zone. And so a lot of people get evacuated when the volcano starts rumbling again. But I think they've let the people back in. You might go and check out James Tender's video on My PI Dream, and he did a drone shot over the volcano, and you can see inside the different craters of the Taal volcano. Really, a great video he did. Shout out to you, James. So we're in an earthquake and volcano zone. We're on the ring of fire that goes through Asia, the coast of Asia, and all the way over to the U.S. And that's where you'll find a lot of volcanoes and earthquakes. So we have earthquakes here. Usually I notice them when I'm sitting in my desk, in my chair, and I'll start going around like that, and I look up there at the hanging lights, and they're moving too. So, you know, I'm kind of getting used to it now. Just hoping we don't have a 7 or 8 scale earthquake here. I'm more concerned about the volcano over here. So that's my lecture for today. I tried to make it as simple as possible that anyone can understand. But that's why we have earthquakes, is that those blocks of earth that are floating on magma inside the earth. So if you're worried about that, then maybe the Philippines isn't for you. Oh, I was going to tell you about Krakatoa too. Krakatoa was an island in Indonesia in the Indian Ocean. Uh, it was just a volcanic island. No one lived on it because the whole island was part of the volcano. Well, I think it was earlier, or maybe in the 1900s or no 1800s. I should have looked that up. But Krakatoa was very active, and one day it blew itself up. It could be heard all the way in Australia. It's one of the largest explosions ever on Earth. And after, it wasn't there anymore. Well, it's underwater. The volcano is still active, and it has since then built itself back up. And so if you're ever going to Indonesia, you might stop by and see Krakatoa. But yeah, it was the biggest explosion that had been recorded. So, yeah, we live with volcanoes here, and throughout Southeast Asia, there's a lot of volcanoes. So that's my report for today, my lecture. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helps you understand a little bit. If I knew anything about editing a video, I could have put all kinds of diagrams and pictures and stuff, but I know more about geology than I do editing videos. That's because I'm an old guy. I remember when we didn't even have television. And cell phones were not around till I was well in my 40s, I think. So, all right, I hope y'all enjoyed this, and y'all stay safe. Take care of your family, your pets, and we'll see you back. And don't forget to subscribe. Help me get to 1,000. All right, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.